everyone, and welcome to day 25 of my horror movie review marathon, and I've got your From Hell movie review. After a series of murders on women go unanswered, a man with special talents comes in to solve the case. So as far as the story goes, the Hughes brothers directs this 2001 movie about Jack the Ripper and the murders he committed in London. Now, I don't know much about the actual story of Jack the Ripper, so I don't know how much of this movie is accurately depicted, because I'm pretty sure it kind of wasn't. It was mostly for entertainment and shock value, and I feel like I see a lot of that in this movie. Nonetheless, it's a very dark and suspenseful, yet intriguing story, because you want to see what happens next, and unfortunately there are some casualties in this. Then again, it may be gruesome for some people to handle, whether you have seen this movie before or not. This is actually the first time I've seen this movie all the way through. I've probably seen it twice before this, and I hadn't been able to get through it for some reason. I, found it to be a very cohesive story. I felt like I was really getting engaged with everything that was going on, and I did want to see more, and it did feel like this period drama that was also a horror, and I actually kind of like movies like that because it really adds to this authenticness, regardless of if the story is authentic, because you really see the whole set pieces and the setting really feel like you're in this time period of when all of these murders were happening, and it's just kind of crazy how the society was also kind of despicable at times, and how people were being treated based off of like your class. I really felt like the way people were talking and the dialogue just also added to that effect. Now, as far as the casting goes, you've got a lot of big names in this movie. Johnny Depp is in this movie, and he plays this guy who clearly has some kind of addiction problem, but he uses that to his advantage to be able to come on board and try to solve these cases of these murdered women and try to figure out who's possibly going to be next, or, what is the method to all this madness. And I think he does a pretty good job here. I was actually really impressed, and I'm like sort of on the fence about Johnny Depp at times, but this movie was definitely one of my favorites of his. Heather Graham, who's in this, and she plays this one woman who's, I guess, some kind of prostitute with all these other women, and she's supposed to be this romantic interest, but I would never have expected anything less from somebody who was in Austin Powers: The Spy Who Shagged Me. But I also thought she did a really good job, because I just loved her accent in this movie. You've got Ian Holm, who kind of plays off this sort of bad guy, but it would not surprise me considering how his character was in Alien, which I reviewed either a couple years ago, and even seeing Robbie Coltrane in this as well, being an assistant to Johnny Depp, was like seeing, and if you guys are Fantastic Beasts fans, all I could literally picture was Gellert Grindelwald and Hagrid. Not that they were ever meeting in the Harry Potter universe, at least in the movies. So the things that I liked about this movie was that it was not subtle in the violence department, especially when there's just so much, blood splattering everywhere, and, weapons being used to kill these people, and it was way too much for me to handle, but it was, it really added to that violence and gore effect, and you really do see just the brutality of these murders. And I thought this movie did a really good job at showcasing all of that happening, and it kind of put me on edge at times, and I think I did either close my eyes or turn away after one of the victims was being killed, because it was just too brutal. But unfortunately, the things that I didn't really like about this movie was that it does feel slow moving in certain scenes, and I felt like I was getting kind of bored watching certain things being said or taking place, and then all of a sudden the action hits you and you get right back into it, and then it becomes more interesting as the movie goes on, and you really just want to see it end, because you want to know how it's all going to end. So overall, I would say that this movie was pretty decent. I don't know if it's any one of my favorite type of movies, but I would still recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it, and I would give this 3 hearts on the heart rate scale. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought of From Hell, and come back tomorrow for day 26 of my horror movie review marathon. And as always, you guys can subscribe to my channel. I've got more movie reviews, movie updates, come back every week for a Trail Thursday video. You guys can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you guys later.